It really feels like artificial intelligence just appeared overnight. One minute it was this sci-fi idea, and the next, boom, it's everywhere. It's in our phones, it's helping drive our cars, it's changing how we work, how we create, everything. So what is it really? Let's pull back the curtain and take a look. I just love this quote from the amazing Douglas Adams. It just perfectly nails how we humans deal with huge new technologies. And right now, AI can definitely feel like it's against the natural order of things. But if you actually look at its history, you'll see it wasn't an overnight thing at all. It's been a long, fascinating evolution. I mean, the main idea has been around for ages. The term itself was coined way back in 1956. Then you have these huge moments like Deep Blue beating the world chess champion in 97. But the real explosion, the thing that changed everything, happened in 2017. That's when Google invented something called the transformer architecture. It was this totally new way for an AI to understand context in language, and it was an absolute game changer. That's the breakthrough that led directly to the models we see today, like GPT-3, just a few years later. You can see how the pace is just picking up like crazy, and that's why it all feels so sudden. To really wrap your head around the leap that AI has taken, we actually need to rewind back to that chess match in 1997, because that was the moment that completely redefined how we think about machine intelligence. This was so much more than just a game. It was a massive cultural event. Man versus machine, right? And the story everyone told was that the machine won because it was just faster, that it could calculate millions more moves than any human possibly could. But the real story, oh, it's way more interesting than that.
So what you're looking at here, these are the actual handwritten notes of an AI pioneer named Herbert Simon. He scribbled these down just a few days after the match. And while the rest of the world was obsessed with the machine's speed, Simon saw something much, much deeper was going on. He saw a breakthrough that had almost nothing to do with raw calculation.
Here's what Simon realized, and this is the key. Deep Blue's real power wasn't just its incredible speed, and yeah, calculating 200 million positions a second is fast. It was the combination of that speed with expert knowledge. It wasn't just crunching numbers. It was playing chess using strategies it had learned from thousands of real games played by human grandmasters. So what does knowledge even mean for a computer? Well, Simon broke it down into three things. First, it had a huge library of classic opening and endgame moves. Second, it had a system for scoring which board positions were better than others. And third, and this is the part that really matters, it could recognize patterns and change its strategy on the fly, just like a human expert would. That was the qualitative shift. That's what really shocked Kasparov. That idea, right there, combining raw power with expert knowledge and pattern recognition, that's the whole secret. It's the direct ancestor of the AI that you and I use every single day. So let's fast forward to now and see how that exact same principle is what makes something like ChatGPT work. Okay, so it feels like magic, but the process is actually pretty straightforward. You give it a prompt, then the model just starts predicting the most probable next word, and the next word after that, all based on the patterns it learned from, a huge chunk of the internet. It then sprinkles in a tiny bit of randomness so the answers aren't always the same, runs it through some safety filters, and then boom, there's your response. But to really understand what these things can and can't do, we need to talk about one very specific number, 4096. What on earth could that mean? This number, 4096, basically represents the size of its working memory. It's measured in these little units called tokens, where one token is about 4 characters of text. So what that means is ChatGPT can only remember the last 3,000 words or so of your conversation. This is exactly why, if you have a really long, complicated chat with an AI, it can sometimes feel like it's just going completely off the rails. It literally forgot what you were talking about a few minutes ago. And that brings us to what is maybe the single most important thing to remember about these tools. A large language model has no idea what is true. It only knows what is plausible. It is an absolute master at matching patterns to generate a story that sounds convincing. And that is precisely why it can sometimes hallucinate, confidently stating things that are completely, utterly wrong. Now, this incredible new ability, even with all its quirks, is so powerful that it's starting to reshape our entire economy. And that is forcing us to ask some really, really big questions about the future of work and, well, the future of society. It's pretty interesting as AI has gotten more and more capable. You can see this corresponding surge of interest in ideas like universal basic income or UBI. This graph of Google searches shows it plain as day. Whenever there's a big conversation about AI taking jobs, you see a spike in people wondering about UBI. So what is it? Well, UBI is actually a pretty simple idea. It's a proposal where every citizen gets a regular, no-strings-attached payment from the government. It's being talked about as a possible safety net for a future where automation might make a lot of today's jobs disappear.
The biggest question, of course, is always, how do you pay for it? And back in 2017, Bill Gates floated this pretty provocative idea. What about a robot tax? The thinking goes, if a company makes a bunch of money by replacing a human worker with a robot or an AI, maybe some of that profit should be taxed to help fund social programs or support the person who lost their job.
Now, the robot tax is just one of many ideas being thrown around. Other economists have proposed things like changing income taxes, creating a national sales tax, or even taxes on land value. The point is, there's no easy answer here, and every single one of these options comes with its own really complex economic pros and cons. So here we are. We've gone all the way from a chess match in the 90s to the future of our entire economy. This technology is moving at a dizzying speed, and it's being built on the data, the writing, the art, the stuff that all of us created, which really leaves us with the ultimate question. We are building these powerful new minds, and they are learning directly from us. So what exactly do we want to teach them?